Hey Birchouse friends, welcome back. So this week's question is one that we drew last week, and it comes from Joseph Abraham, who asks, hey Birchouse, other than axes, what were the most common Viking weapons? This is a really good question. It's a very easy one to answer. So when we think of Viking raiders, the popular image is of a Viking raider carrying something like this, like this bearded axe right here, or maybe a hand axe used alongside a shield, or maybe even the taller Dane axes. And this image of Viking raiders carrying axes is not wrong. There are plenty of historical finds of Viking age axes. We know that they were used, but they weren't the most common weapon used by Viking raiders. Nor was the sword. We like to think of a sword and shield combination. Swords really aren't very common either. The most common weapon a Viking raider would carry is this, a spear. Now, a spear is great. Spears are easier to manufacture than a sword. They're easier and cheaper to manufacture than most axes. They're easy to put together. It's just on a shaft. It's easy to train large groups of people quickly on how to use them. And they allow you to reach out and strike targets, strike opponents, and keep them at a distance. This makes them superior in almost every way to other weapons. Now, that's not to say that other weapons don't have their niche, don't have an important role to fill, but these are just the easiest to use and are superior in most cases in a fight. And we don't just see this in the Viking Age. Spears, and by extension pole arms like halberds and pikes, things of that nature, are the most common weapons used by warriors through most of sword and shield history, we'll call it. So I'm talking about Viking Age, medieval, into the Renaissance. It's the most common weapon. And so I always say things like swords, maces, war hammers, axes, hand axes especially, they're kind of like the pistols of their day. They're a sidearm. These were the battle rifle of their day. Again, cheap to make, easy to train large groups of people quickly, and they had that superior reach to let you keep your opponents at bay. So that was a great question. Thank you so much for asking. Now, I'm not drawing a question today because we did get a common question. So we'll answer that next week. In the meantime, if you have a question for Birchouse, comment below with "Hey Birchouse, ask," and we'll answer it in a future video. In the meantime, we'll see you all next Wednesday.
Cruising down the block where the birch trees stand, Birchouse living, got the vibe so grand. Chilling on the porch in our fresh kicks. Life's